We may be about to find out which team will join Soniqs from this group into the playoffs. Mandy, I can't believe it. We're halfway through the day on the final play day of group stage here at the Jönköping Major. We've already started qualifying teams into the playoffs. We've even seen a few teams qualify now for Six Invitational. And of course, we have sent a few teams home. We may be about to send a couple more.
Yeah, that's exactly right. CYCLOPS are trying to go for their miracle run through this group. Soniqs, I believe, are all but confirmed, actually 100% confirmed
100%.
already for the playoffs. And it's down to that midfield pack, and that's CYCLOPS, and I believe it's M&M on the other end of that, who are fighting for that second spot in the playoffs.
Well, technically, any of CYCLOPS, M&M, and Black Dragons are capable of making it to that second place in the group. You can see it's quite tightly contested. M&M and BD will also be playing on the other stream. So how this pans out, it's quite simple if you're a CYCLOPS fan. A win. In fact, even just an overtime. 6 rounds is enough to make it to the playoffs. Now, in fact, there is a chance that they lose. They lose, and yet they can still go, and that is only if the other game, the M&M Black Dragon game, goes into overtime. If you're an M&M or a Black Dragons fan, it's simple. They have to win their game in regulation, and CYCLOPS has to lose in regulation, and that's the only scenario in which case CYCLOPS don't make it out of the group. So, funnily enough, Maddie, it's actually looking quite likely that we will have an APAC team into the playoffs.
Well, okay, you can't say that one too quickly. They still have to win a couple of rounds here against the Soniqs. And the Soniqs
probabilities.
Yeah, okay. Look, the Soniqs, they're pretty good at the moment. They're looking in relatively good form. Being at the top of their group, completely confirmed for playoffs. They are chilling. They're having a good time. This is just the final matchup left to go for seeding.
Well, the question for me with Soniqs is, are we going to see their best right now? Because yes, after their first game, which they lost to M&M, they have been undefeated. But now word has come through that Gio has actually been quite unwell. Now, I did just check. He is out sitting with the players right now, so I assume he is going to be playing this match. Goddess had tweeted out that there was a chance that he wouldn't be able to play this game. I assume that would mean she would sub in, which would actually be kind of exciting. But regardless, it seems like we will have Gio in this game for better or for worse, depending on how sick he is. Regardless, I think the way things stand right now with Soniqs already confirmed for playoffs and maybe trying to just save themselves a little bit, not letting Gio push himself too hard when he's got some important games in just 2 days' time. CYCLOPS have their best chance they've ever seen of making playoffs at a major.
Yeah, that's exactly it. We were almost going to count them out after the first day they had. It was pretty rough for them, but they went for that miracle run, and just because of how tight the group was, now they have their chance to make it in. But as we said earlier, 6 rounds is the pass mark for CYCLOPS. Fate is in their hands in this matchup.
Well, having a look at Soniqs now, actually can't see Gio. He was sitting down there a minute ago. There he is, still sitting down. So it does appear to be that Soniqs will be playing with their full 5. As for the CYCLOPS side, this is a pretty big deal. This is the first team that we've seen for a long time out of Japan that is becoming competitive on the global scale. Now, CYCLOPS have been to events time and time again, and they have struggled time and time again to make it to the playoffs. If you remember, about 15 months ago in Mexico, CYCLOPS unfortunately fell short of the playoffs by the most narrow of margins. They lost to Team 1 in the exact number of rounds that would mean for the only time in Rainbow Six history we had to actually go to a tiebreaker match. CYCLOPS lost that, Team 1 defeated them, and as a result, CYCLOPS missed out on their chance to go to playoffs. They could well break that right now and for the first time get to the top 8 at a major.
Yeah, just having a quick look at the pick and ban that's come through as well. It is going to be Oregon, and CYCLOPS will be starting out on the defending side. So I'm not sure how this one pans out. I might jump over to the Classico DevMata match tracker to break that one down.
Yeah, sure. So CYCLOPS have had a couple of good wins on this map in the last 3 months, but also a couple of pretty fatal losses. Now, the last time CYCLOPS played this, it was in the final match of APAC North. They destroyed Fnatic 7-1. But if you look a little bit further back in history, there was also a loss to Reject, a loss to PSG, and a loss to Fnatic, all of which were in overtime, plus 2 more wins earlier on in the season against Sengoku and Talon. So that's a 3-3 record for CYCLOPS. but a pretty strong round differential of +11 here on Oregon. As for Soniqs, they are almost undefeated on this map. Of the 4 times they played it in the last couple of months, they have won it 3 of those 4, including taking down M&M in the rematch that we saw from those two yesterday. It was a 7-5, a tight game, but a pretty big deal that Soniqs on the rematch after getting decimated by M&M in the opening game of the Major have found revenge, and of course it was here on Oregon. So they're showing strong form on this map.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm pretty impressed so far by, I just want to say both these teams, but in particular the Soniqs. I just feel like they've really come into this major with their new form, picking up, of course, Gio and Gunnar, the rookie of the roster as well. I just want to point out quickly, Gio is the one that's sick at the moment for this roster, and he's also the IGL of the roster as well. And so I feel like if they want to stay in this game, they really need to keep that mental game on a high because he's not feeling super well, and someone else needs to step up to the plate for the calling. But like you said, if there's any opportunity for CAG to take it, it's probably this one as a result.
Soniqs have actually, like you said, done quite well at this Major. When we saw their opening game, it was the first game we casted, the very first game on the A stream of the Major. They dropped the ball to M&M. Quite disappointing, especially when we were speaking with Pengu and he really predicted that Soniqs would make top 4 here in Sweden for this event. You know, fast forward 2 days later, Soniqs is actually the 3rd best team at this tournament so far. If you combine all the standings of all the groups, it's W7M at the top, then Liquid, and then Soniqs, even above teams like Wolves and FaZe. So it just goes to show how strong this North American roster has been. In fact, by far the best North American squad. The next closest would be TSM, all the way down in 7th place in the combined standings. So Soniqs are looking primed and ready. They're feeling a bit refreshed. They've bounced back after that initial loss. And despite some issues with Gio, I still think that they are probably the favoured team in this match.
I think so as well, yeah. I'd definitely put them up there. They look in high spirits. That's Goddess. They're on your screens as well. She's having a really good time there with the team. And I believe it's just been, yeah, it's just so instrumental in this team's success as well. It's all about keeping that vibe high as we jump into the lobby.
For CYCLOPS though, fist pumps. Come on, give them a better one. There we go. Get on it for CAG for a shot at their first ever playoffs appearance at a Six Major. The Japanese squad will wave their flags high. A chance to take down the Soniqs. Even 6 rounds in this map will be enough for the Japanese roster to secure a playoffs position as we jump straight into this ban phase.
You guys on the socials actually think that CYCLOPS is going to come out on top. That's 60% vote going their way. They have some pretty cute little chat banter going on there. They love each other. Before the game came up, all of the Soniqs were also saying that they love CAG too, and then CAG replied, "We love Soniqs." This is such a sweet game. I can't wait for this one.
Just don't let Anaton in the old chat.
Okay, yeah, don't let Anaton in the old chat.
If you know, you know.
If you know, you know. Bans, they're happening.
Be the analyst, Mandy, please. Tell me what we got. I love Canadian. Wait, wrong team.
No, hang on a second.
Alligator, wrong team.
Hang on. Stop analysing the chat. All right, no. Things happening in the ban phase. Zami is going to be taken out. Now, Thatcher's been taken out as well on the attacking half, so they'll have to lean into that Maverick if they want to get open some of those hatches for that ground floor, for that basement attack. Zami being taken out is also a pretty interesting one to me as well. It does make playing some of those sites, like I imagine the top floor around kids, a little bit more tricky because you don't have those Azami barricades that block off lines of sight from like the double window, games window, that type of thing.
I'm so distracted by this chat. It's so wholesome.
I know, right? I know. Right.
CYCLOPS are probably the most notorious team for getting in the all chat, especially in scrims from what I've heard. You don't want to know some of the filth that the English-speaking teams have taught them.
No, you don't.
But fortunately, they keep it clean for the stream here. And it goes to show CAG in high spirits. Both teams, in fact, quite chilled out. Soniqs, of course, have very little pressure riding on this game. Not only have they already secured playoffs, but they've already secured first seed. So for Soniqs, really, this is about just making sure they don't get rattled too much. I think if you're them, you want to just have a good time. Obviously, still try and win, because if you can win even when Gio is sick and while CYCLOPS are fighting tooth and nail for a playoff spot, that tells you something huge about Soniqs. But, of course, you don't want to press too hard. You don't want to be upset with each other if you're making mistakes. There's no point arguing. Just have a great time. Whereas for CAG, I mean, they're always having a good time. Maybe a little bit too much of a good time, even when it's a serious match.
Look, I think the thing is for Soniqs, even though this is technically not mission critical for their playoffs run, as they've qualified in, it is still important for them to, I suppose, gain the experience out of an international event. It's not every day that you get to play against a Japanese team. They're very far from each other, geography-wise, of course. So getting all the experience that you can is worthwhile. And hey, if you love each other in the server too, that's great. CAG looking for this roam, starting out on the top floor. It's actually AA Gator all the way inside of Armory, supported by Gatorada inside of Kids. They're going to play this chop-down kind of fall-off inside of security, I imagine, is the next step for them, and Soniqs will have the challenge of clearing it.
Will this be a full dedicated roam clear for Soniqs, or a little bit of a taunt on the site? Not too much pressure put to blue yet. We've seen a lot of teams just go and try and clear out that blue utility and then rotate back elsewhere. BlackRay feeling a bit of pressure on small tower as he waves to the Yokai drone going past him. It looks like it is a big tower push for Soniqs.
Yep, backsided take for Soniqs, and what that means is CAG have identified that and started to fall back off into this ground floor, identifying that they're not looking for the roam clear in this small tower master side. Instead, it's only Gunner that's here on the lurk. We can now see the pressure coming out from inside of meeting on the side of CAG. They don't want to give up this ground floor straight away, as Kansen will make the entry onto the stage.
Still, this is only the roam clear. There's still a lot of ground to be taken for Soniqs, but they do claim the opening pick. A great shot there from Kansen with the G36. Gator taken down. Not able to move any of the pester drones he might have caught. I don't believe he did actually catch any, so it may be a moot point. But Soniqs really just going for this one-sided take, aren't they? They've got meeting control, they've got the hatch open, and they can get to work figuring out their execute.
Yeah, this is well identified from Soniqs. They don't actually need to take the rest of the map, aided by those air jabs from the Nomad, right? They only need control of meeting and of bunker if they want to do a backsided take. There's no point in going and loitering around laundry and loitering around freezer if you don't need to. And those air jabs are preventing BlackRay from being able to retake through green and retake through meeting.
He's still so tempted though, isn't he?
But he can't. There's no rotate.
He could go prone and try and shoot it off, but it's a risky game to play. Does tempt out a... Oh, there you go. He is actually going to go prone. But meanwhile, Soniqs are executing on the site. All 5 of them now already gone onto that basement floor. So that means that that flank could eventually come out. Anderson trying to hold his way, but Kansen on for the entry. Here's the great flank from BlackRay, though. Soniqs have to be careful. They don't rely too much on that air jab because it has been taken down. As has Geo, though, with the diffuser in pocket. Rexon marches forward. Soniqs flood the site and claim as many kills as they possibly can. Gatorada finds one, shotgun round in the corner, gets another one, traded back, but BlackRay's flank was more than enough to secure the round, and he should find it easy to deny this plant from Rexon. No way!
Let's go!
Are you kidding me, Rexon? How do you win that?
What on earth is that from the Soniqs? Perfect late round calling in that execute. As soon as they went for the execute, they realized, oh no, BlackRay's actually gone for the flank. We can't go for default plant anymore. And they flipped the switch, changed their approach, and decided to go deep into the site instead. Go for that flood and look for kills. And that was the perfect call to make once they had realized that flank was coming through, right? There is no way that they could have got that done safely, the original default plant plan, right? Amazing adaptation from the Soniqs, and that's Geo, of course, the sick IGL, making big calls like that to keep Soniqs in that round.
And you got to put it down to Rexon as well. He started planting with, I believe, 1.5 seconds on the clock. According to my calculations, that would mean that there was, what, 5.5 seconds where he had to just sit there holding down F. And BlackRay, all he had to do was go and shoot this defenseless player. But it took him too long to get there. And by the time he ran the corner and went to spray down that player, well, Rexon was so quick on the sticks. A quick up and winning that fight. That's some nutty behavior. And a really good opening round from both Rexon and Kansen, who've had a phenomenal stage, particularly Rexon. And are not slowing down here at the Major.
AGA is starting off in this T3 position. Of course, the bomb site is Kids and Dorms. They are going to look to go to that top floor bomb site, of course, without the Azami since it's been banned out, but instead with the aid of the mirror. Now, BlackRay's still got one in his pocket. The second one, I'm not sure where that's gone, but someone we need to keep an eye on is Gunner because he does have the Amaro with the diffuser in his hand.
Gunner living up to the name as always, and what a pick onto Anderson. It's the smoke player, of course. You really couldn't ask for a better player to take down early on in the round with all of that smoke gas utility, ineffectual for the remainder of the round. Plus, Anderson's a bit of a nutter, so you want to take him down early so he doesn't have the chance to demonstrate his clutch ability. Still a pretty strong setup from CAG despite losing one of the linchpins. It just might mean that the rest of the team won't have quite so much mobility and ability to play aggressively as Soniqs begin to put some pressure on this white stairs area.
So the Sonics have got some pretty tough decision making to go through here. There is a mirror, which is inside of that attic pit facing into Trophy. There's also a shield there. So if they want to go for this front-sided take, unless they're going to do something cheeky with the Amaru, which could possibly happen, it's going to be quite challenging to clear out that utility.
What's going on here, Gunnar? He's up and he's in. Starts forcing that plant down. Geo's been taken out by Blackray, but this plant is surely to be secured. Kansan rotates and is able to take down Gatto downstairs. It's now all on Ayagator, and wow, quite a strategy here from Soniqs. Love to see the refreshing playstyle that they have brought to the table. Ayagator 1v4 becomes a 1v3. Gunnar a little bit too egregious on that peak, but it doesn't matter because Grix is there for the cross. Wow. Beautiful fast play there from Soniqs to get that diffuser down.
Yeah, really well played. When you see a mirror and a big line of sight like that open inside of pit, you don't want to do something like go into Armory and try and loiter your way around a master bedroom, that type of thing, because you're going to fall short to those lines of sight, right? Like you said, great change of pace. As soon as Kansan was able to get control up the white stairs, uncontested by Gatarada, he called out to his team, all right, we kind of have minimalistically what we need to go for this, game's window execute. That was the pocket strat of the Amaru. And that way, they forgo all the utility they had to deal with inside of pit and eventually went out the rounds.
Pretty big deal there for Cyclops that Soniqs has had such a good start. Keeping in mind, Soniqs, there's not a lot of stakes for them on this game. It's just having a good time and continuing to demonstrate their exemplary. You know, practice makes perfect, right? And there's no better practice than an official game. Scrim's not quite the same. For CAG, though, there's a lot more riding on that than just a bit of a practice game. If they get 6 rounds here, they qualify to playoffs. So that is where their focus is. And starting with 2 Ls in a row on the defensive side is far from ideal. They really need to get stuck into it, especially because, on my mind, there's a lot of good defenders still in, especially that mirror, which hasn't really seemed to help CAG very much.
Blackray is going to start out in this small tower looking for a spawn peak. Meanwhile, Anderson's still, of course, setting up some of that site construction. Pretty extended roam so far from CAG. They're looking to hold 3 players here on this ground floor. Meanwhile, Soniqs looking for a small tower across take. Gunnar, the one to drone in, of course, just making his own way in. It's actually a lurk on his side as the rest of those Soniqs players reconvene around lobby.
Once again, slow early round for Soniqs. They know that CAG love to play quite aggressively and they don't want to fall into the trap. They're not getting too desperate for early map control, playing it nice and steady. Gunnar, I love the use of the Hell Presence reduction here. He walks straight past that camera, eventually does take it out, but he doesn't check his corners. And guess what? Blackray is there. Gunnar taken down. Good opening pick for CAG.
That is your lurker taken away, but my question is, what have the rest of Soniqs been able to achieve? Last time we saw them loiter their way around lobby, that like master side type thing, and we can actually see one of those players, I believe that's Kansan up there on that top floor, creating some vertical lines of sight, immediately contesting in that next step of the roam, and that's inside of security.
The question is, will CAG continue to play mobile? Will they potentially gift Soniqs an opportunity to refrag? It's Blackray we're looking at here, right? Because he's cut off now. He wants to rotate to green. He does actually manage to get that cross, and it looks as if he'll fall back to side. So CAG happy with the advantage they've established for themselves, with the exception of Ayagator, who may well have been misdrone. No, he hasn't. Wow. Well done from Grixer. A very cheeky spot for Ayagator to play in. I didn't even realize you could prone on the bench like that, but Soniqs will not be deceived.
Now this is a challenging part through the mid-round for the Soniqs, though. That meeting hatch is electrified, I believe, by the Kaid Claw, and there's nothing that Soniqs have got in the pocket to actually deal with that. So going for the backtake is not really an option unless they can use a Twitch drone to get that somewhere underneath E-Box. I imagine it's going to have to be a front take for the Soniqs.
But you got the mirrors to deal with as well. He does decide to take down one mirror, but surely he loses the Twitch drone here. There you go. He does have one left. The Hibana might be employed here. to try and take out the mirror window. Nope, not going to happen. You're right, though. Like, how are they going to open up this rear hatch? At the moment, with 20 seconds left, it's kind of a moot point. They just have to send it. They don't have a choice. It's a 4v4 now. Desperate execute for Soniqs. Anaton, first line of defense in freezer. C4 goes out. Huge amount of damage on Geo and Rexon, but that might not stop him. Rexon marches forward once again. He's a hungry, hungry man, and he finds one. Gets a double! Goes in with the pistol, but sprayed down. There ain't no time left for Soniqs. And CAG finally find their first round on the defense.
Oh, geez, that round got a little bit closer than I anticipated that one to be, eh?
Not gonna lie, I was just like doing some, talking about Kaid clause or whatever, and I looked at them like, wait a second, there's 25 seconds left.
Yeah, that round got way closer than I thought it was going to be. I thought Soniqs, they had that one lost since they couldn't get that hatch open, but they managed to claw a couple picks back going through freezer there. CAG, of course, because the site was still closed in for them, they hadn't got that E-box hatch open. The mirrors were still up for them with the exception of the one inside a freezer that had been open. They could just hold on to their ground and play the crossfires, and Soniqs flooded through in those last 20 seconds. It was pretty disconnected. The gunfights didn't really go their way, and eventually, of course, CYCLOPS went out the round.
CYCLOPS, interestingly, will actually go to their tertiary site instead of reattempting dorms. On the reattempt, laundry supply did work out, but opting instead to go for kitchen dining, which, funnily enough, is even less common than kitchen meeting. So to many teams, this isn't even a tertiary site. This is one that most teams wouldn't even dare to go for. But we have seen some really good defenses of this site, Mandy. What springs to mind for me is that Fury W7M game that we watched on the first day. W7M were nasty on this site.
Yeah, they were super good at it, and what it really hinges on for this defense is how well you can play the contest inside of that shower hallway and how much you can contest the breach by just, I suppose, having a gun up on it. That was what KZ was doing in that matchup, or having your plant to null. And so we can see CAG putting a lot of resources and pressure inside of that hallway. We've got a shield facing it, and we've got to rotate as well so that people can contest the breach from inside of showers.
Now that shield in the hallway has been taken out though, so really good use of the Flores from Rexon. But there's quite a few elements here on both sides to deal with this. We've got double shields. We've got Kansan on the Ossa, and we also have Anaton on his Spirit Operator, the Clash. I mean, it can't get Monty, can't get Blitz, can't get Ossa on the defensive side, but Clash is that next best thing. And it could be really good for just getting information, enabling some aggressive peaks from Aegator.
Another important thing to note here is that Soniqs are going to bring along the Ossa. On the side of the defense, the only thing that's really there to deal with it is the C4 of Aegator, who's currently got it prepped in his hands, and it's now gone to the vertical. So if the breach does manage to get open, the late game is going to be very much in the favor of the Soniqs, but not if that happens. Gatarada with a great run out onto Rexon.
Wow, I just love the use of that Clash as well from CAG. Blackray, thanks to the call-outs from Anaton, is able to quickly swing that Showers hallway and take down another pivotal player in Gunner. Now Soniqs in the 3v5, this side is becoming a little bit unwieldy. Doesn't matter that you've got the Ossa, still don't have a breach on that wall. They still haven't been able to contain this aggression from CAG.
That's exactly it. I think I got a bit ahead of myself talking about the late game there. It's pretty hard to get a breach on the wall when you've got a Clash in your face, right? And that's the beauty of the strat that CYCLOPS are running. Now Grixa, Geometrics and Kansan left in that 3-on-5 situation is going to be very challenging to face against the constant information that Anaton is giving on the Clash. Just look at that.
The big thing here for Soniqs is they're looking for a pick. That's what they need to go for. Get a pick, maybe threaten a plant. Oh, but I love that. Oh, that's so clever. The Clash Zap forces the shield away, and that just enables CYCLOPS to go nuts. What a round from CAG. It ends in a flawless, and they take a huge dub there on the tertiary site.
They showed us exactly why CYCLOPS could go for that tertiary site, right? They're the kind of people that will bring out operators like the Clash. That's the benefit of having a player like Anaton on your roster, right? With that Clash, he really enabled his teammates to be able to retake control of where the breach door was, retake control of that shower hallway, and that's always going to be your biggest point of contest. Even though that first deployable shield had been taken down, they had redundancy, and that was in Anaton running straight through and telling exactly what the timing was for his teammates to peek it.
I got to say, that is, just super smart. A lot of people forget about these tiny micro interactions, but for me, a huge thing is, like you said, there was only one C4, which wasn't able to take down any Ossa shields, and there were no impacts that CAG brought. But what they did have to counter that Ossa was the Clash. And when you zap an Ossa who's holding her shield out, it knocks her shields away, kind of like if she's been knifed in the shield or if she's been hit by explosives or hit by a concussion. And what that allowed was for another Cyclops player to then spray down the legs and the side of the body until that Ossa fell. And amidst the confusion, the CAG just sprung into action. Where we sit now, Mandy, is actually a 2-2 even scoreline. CAG built up a bit of momentum here. And it's Soniqs that we look to now to get back into it. But they might have a decent chance as we're likely to be going back to dorms this round.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with you on that one. This game of Oregon's been pretty back and forth, I would have to say. I think that the rounds have come pretty close each time. It's very much this macro game between the two teams, right? Whoever makes decision making quicker seems to win the rounds, right? With CAG in that last round, they were more on the ball with finding the timings in the peaks, whereas Soniqs sort of took too much time loitering around Big Tower. They didn't have very good crossfires set up as quickly as CAG did, right? They were a lot more decisive in the defense that they were going for. It's kind of been like that for just about every single one of these rounds. Just feels like whatever team is more decisive more quickly takes out the round.
We're just having a quick technical pause here, by the way, guys. But we'll be back into the game before long. I do wonder, does this favor CAG, who need to talk about what bomb site they're going to right now? Obviously, they can't talk with their coach, but they can discuss amidst themselves. Now that laundry supply is locked, now that dining is locked, really there's only a choice between meeting and going back to dorms where they failed before.
Well, we'll just have to wait and see what they're going to go for. I imagine that Cyclops have got something up their sleeve, so they could really do either one. I feel like meeting kind of plays into their playstyle, but dorms is probably the safer bet to go with, and it seems like that is what they're going to take us to.
For Soniqs here, I'm not too worried about their attacking side. When they played M&M on this map, they went 3-3 on their attack, but it was their defense where they flourished. They managed to edge out 4 rounds out of the 6 they played, which obviously results in a 7-5 scoreline and a 3-point win over M&M. It was actually Rexon who went nuts on that as well. 92% cost, and he got an average of 1 kill per round, which is really impressive. If you're getting 1 kill for every round in the game, you are more than doing your job.
You got your one.
Yeah.
No, you got your one and a bit more than that as well.
I got my one.
I got my one. CAG looking to hold on to this trophy hold with the deployable shield. Are they going to play a rotate inside a closet was probably my question, to see if that shield setup is going to be aided with a crossfire. But there are a couple ways that you can play this site now, right? Do you play it more closed off, where you actually keep the breaches closed off, no rotates in closet, no rotates in attic? Or do you want to play it more open with that line of sight and pit and that type of thing? I feel like those are the two different setups that a Cyclops could employ, and it seems like they're going for something a bit more conservative.
The Cyclops always, they flourish when they're playing their aggressive playstyle, when they're going for things like this, Black Ray, in small tower, looking aggressive, got his Cyclops skin on the Alibi's MX4 Storm. I gotta say, nice skin combo. I love the bling. I love the purple and blue
You and your skins.
Attachment skin. Yeah, I mean, it's beautiful, it's fashionable. But Kansan could embarrass him. Oh, Yokai drone. I was wondering what he was shooting. Good information gathered from the Yokai, and it does manage to escape. A bit of a battle bots here with the two drones seeing each other as Black Ray begins to fall back further.
A little deep eck impression there, of course. The Yoko drone aiding Black Ray to fall off from that position, even though he was being cut off from the white window. The rest of Soniqs, though, has allowed Kansan to entry in through this shower side of the map, while the rest of his teammates work that master push.
Working that master push right now is becoming difficult for Geo because of the mute jammers that are stalling out his Flores drones.
I've actually called that one wrong. It seems like they're actually consolidating their plays around that big window take instead. Gunner, he's the one with the Amaru and the diffuser in hand, and I imagine is sitting just outside of the big window. Now that shield inside is very challenging to take. Never mind, I can't even talk about this because he's already hopped in off the back of the flashbang and is getting the plant down.
Cyclops, hello? Hello? Anybody home? Apparently not. Might not matter though, because Gunner hasn't been able to stay in his position. It's going back and forth though. Suzu in a bit of an awkward spot. Black Ray hunted down below, thanks to Kansan. He's gone big here. Ayagator looking for the double. Oh, he gets both. That's the CAG skin coming in handy. It's now a 1 versus 2. Unless if Alligator can pick up Suzu, there you go, manages to lock that one in. Is he going to be able to get this disabled though? There's a player all the way outstairs and there's just no time to get the job done. Alligator caught in a bit of a rough spot. And of course it is Rexon. He's a killing machine on Oregon and he finds both the final kills to get Soniqs back in the lead.
Great push from the Soniqs. They identified that double window wasn't being held or contested as strongly as inside of Trophy. Inside of Trophy, you had that really frustrating mute jammer and shield setup that the Flores couldn't penetrate. And so they decided to flip their control, go small tower because they had a couple lurkers down there and Kansan on the Nook. And they made that entry work off the back of a flashbang and just, well, not that many CAG players to answer for the call.
And like I was saying before, I think Soniqs are going to be pretty happy with this. 3 attacks is all they managed out of the 6 against M&M, so if they can hold up with their defenses as strong as they were when they played M&M, then they should be pretty fine here. CAG are actually a far more defensive-sided team on Oregon than they are attacking. They win 66% of their defenses, but only 49% of their attacks. And funnily enough, it's actually quite the opposite for Soniqs. They're a really really attacker-favored team on this map. Oregon, they win 62% on that side, only 54% on their defense. So it is going to be a tale of two halves, I think. It would be huge if Soniqs could actually win this half outright, 4-2. But now that CYCLOPS have the ability to go back down to the basement, I do have a little bit more faith in them.
Just to hop on a little bit about the Sonic success at the moment, this feels like very macro-based game. It feels like I said earlier, the team that makes the better decision-making quicker is the one to win out this game. And I just feel like Sonics are a little bit more on the ball than the CAG are at the moment. They're looking for this extended hold into what was the other side of Small Tower and now into Big Tower, trying to contest the entry directly onto Sonics.
Interesting aggressive plays here from CAG. Wow, it's actually going to go all the way up to T3. It's quite a peculiar play from CYCLOPS. Usually you wouldn't have so many players here. Often you might have one guy just trying to delay time upstairs in T3, but late rotate up there. Soniqs have taken mostly the west side of the map as control.
Great from Soniqs. This is so much free real estate that they've been given and identified. And now these players inside of Big Tower are playing a pretty claustrophobic setup. If Soniqs can start to surround them, maybe play that cutoff around the green hallway, or just generally start to get control in Tier 1, this could be really dangerous for the CAG players that are stuck there. And that's exactly what Gunner's doing at the moment.
Yeah, but I don't think he realizes that there's 2 roamers above him right now. The Lion roars out and makes his way into T1. Love this though. This is something that Soniqs didn't have previously, the ability to open up this hatch. But is he gonna get it in time? Oh, he just does.
So I just want to quickly point out, Kansan is the one that was on the drone just then. He's just got off it. I think they do know that there are players still in the top floor, I believe. And Kansan is the one that has been put on that flank watch. He's just gotten off it to put down one of those line charges while the rest of Sonic start to work the site. The kit is in fact in a front take. It makes me wonder what Sonics are going to go for here.
Yeah, well, CYCLOPS has sprung into action. This flank started to activate here. Alligator in T1. I'm not sure Soniqs realize they might have traded him back, but there is still another roamer, Gatorado, who's used his impacts to make rotates and vertical lines above. And now, oh no, the Vulcan canisters from Alligator are going to stall this out even further, and Gatorado still this X-Factor offside.
This is going to be a struggle for Soniqs. They're running out of options. They can't get open that lobby hatch. They have to do a back take, but like you said, the Goyo canisters are stalling out that backside.
That said, Kansan might be able to just send it on through. 1C4, Geo manages to dodge, but what a shot there with the slug shotty from Suzu. Where is Gatorado on for the flank? He's got to be there to disrupt it. Made his way down through Freezer. The plant is going in. Rexon finds one, and Geo's forcing down that diffuser. Is Grixa going to be able to cover as we head into a post-plant? Grixa finds one, and there must be Gatorado to flank, but he's not there in time. And Soniqs are able to force that plant down against all odds.
Once again, I'm going to point towards the shot calling of Soniqs. Geo knows exactly what the win conditions of these rounds have been. Even though they haven't been able to get open all of the hatches, the walls are often staying closed because Cade is there on the ball, that type of thing. No matter what, Soniqs have got some way to get into the bomb site. Not only that, but they've done really well generally in that macro game. They're not being sloppy about their attacks at all, right? It looks like they were being a bit dangerous about it because they didn't dedicate themselves to that roam clear, even though there were two in Big Tower, but they had Kansan then. He was sitting there flicking between the drones. He was ready for that flank watch. And even though the flank did eventually amount to come through, Gio was like, boys, just send it. Be on the same page. Go for the flood. If I can get the plant down, I will. And that's the strength in having this IGL on the roster. He's just done such an amazing job in the macro game.
And the result of it is Soniqs going up 4-2 on their attacking half. This is even better than they managed on Oregon against M&M. And for CAG, that pressure is starting to mount. Keep in mind, CYCLOPS could lock in playoffs, but they need to at least get 6 rounds in this game and the 1 point that will come along with it. Now, there is a chance that even if CYCLOPS lose this in regulation, that they will be able to make the playoffs, but that relies on the game that's going on Stream A, which is between Black Dragons and M&M. If that game goes to overtime, then neither of those teams will be able to catch up with CYCLOPS, even if they lose in regulation. But you don't want to rely on the chance. You don't want to rely on other teams and other results going their way. CYCLOPS have to take matters into their own hands, and that means they have to go nuts on the attack.
I'm going to double down on that point too. Maybe this is going to sound overly critical, but Soniqs were very disciplined. They were not sloppy at all on their attack. Every time they went for an attack, they made use of all the utility they possibly could. They gave their way in very creative ways while keeping eye on the flank watch, while doing their due diligence through the mid-round. They didn't fall short in any single way through that utility. CAG, on the other hand, their playstyle is often quite sloppy. They often do try and skip steps and do something a little bit funky. And I think that if they don't give the respect to Soniqs and be a bit more careful, then they're going to run away with it.
Well, it looks like they might be going for something a little bit Soniqs branded, or CYCLOPS branded. In goes the Glads of Aniton, but feeling the choking grip of that gas as Aegator sends it on through. He finds the opening pick with the spear, and he just keeps sending it deep into sight, feeling a bit of pressure, and he is traded back. Gunner's found 2, and that diffuser has been left off by Gatorada. Had to fake it as that gas rings on out. Once again, a reattempt at the plan, and it is denied. A triple for Gunner now. And CYCLOPS are falling apart. Aniton's smokes have subsided, and he must rely on this DMR now in the 2v4.
What a way to disrespect Soniqs, but they just put them to bed. Now 2-on-4, of course, Gunner, the man of the hour with that 2K coming down from Freezer in the retake. It's going to be very tough for CAG to get back into this round.
And really, we look at Suzu to do something, but he's really not able to do anything. Huge round from Soniqs. A huge play, a huge triple from Gunner. And right on the back of it, CYCLOPS will be forced to take their tactical pause.
Just going to point out one more time for CYCLOPS, pretty sloppy, honestly. Going for that backsided take with what was very little intel onto the site, it was a gamble. That's a really big gamble to take onto the Soniqs, who are just super on the ball at the moment with their calling. Having Gunner come down Freezer and play that retake to perfection, he just used those Freezer angles backwards onto that highway hallway, as we like to call it, going in. Aegator got way too ambitious with that entry, and eventually Soniqs completely shutting down that rush of CAG. That was honestly quite disconnected from that back push as well.
I really feel like that rush could have worked. But even just little things like Aegator, he finds his opening pick with the Finker, and he just keeps pushing. There's 2 players in Freezer, and yeah, of course he wouldn't know about it, but you'd expect at least one. Why did he need to push deep?
It could have, but it feels ill-advised, right? When you go for a rush, you want to do it against a team that's disconnected in their comms, right? You want to do it to punish the disconnect in their positioning. If they're going for a big roam, then you run for it, right? But Soniqs at the moment are super on the ball in their macro. They're way more on the ball than CAG are at the moment, and I just feel like that was a super risky call for them to go for that.
Well, risky is the name of the game for CYCLOPS, and I don't think you'll ever be able to take the riskiness out of their playstyle.
That's true.
You might be able to temper it, make sure that they make the right decision on when to take risks or how much of a risk to take, but they certainly didn't have that balance in that round, I can tell you that for sure. Now they've taken their tactical pause. They're attacking dorms now. They would know that Laundry's locked. And for a moment, Glaz was teased out, I believe, but Aniton's actually seeming to stick this Montaigne for now.
Soniqs are looking to play that open rotation hole inside of the closet, which is not what CAG did when they were on their defense. That means that when they go for this master side take, they have to worry about the crossfire, not just from the trophy shield, but also from the aggression inside of closet as well. Not only that, but Rexon is starting off early inside of this shower's hallway with those rotation holes. CYCLOPS have got a little bit to worry about in terms of getting into the building early game, because there's going to be a lot of Soniqs players contesting early.
I do wonder what Annie will be able to do with this Monty. When he played against Eminem, I believe it was yesterday, Aniton was the MVP of the match on Montaigne, believe it or not.
Yep.
And that's not just qualitatively, but statistically as well.
CAG is starting to make their way around this master-sided attack, and I feel like this is going to be quite challenging unless Gatorada can get some value out of these Flores drones. There was, once again, that open hole setup inside of the closet, and I believe also a shield inside of Trophy 2, so these Flores drones are going to have to find some value if they want to make this push work.
Well, I think it's a pretty good 2-for-1 trade. 2 bits of barbed wire for one of your 4 Flores drones. Rexon detected outside as he goes for a run out, but thankfully Gatorada is just far back enough that he won't be visible. CAG have a little bit of intel on the back of that. Has Blackray actually air jabbed off this position? He's just air jabbing off the run out for now.
Aniton, he's the one that's making his way up those armory stairs with the deployable shield. Oh, sorry, the extendable shield. Another shield. So many shields in this game. The rest of the Soniqs, though, they're just playing pretty safe at the moment. It's conservative. They've got 4 players on the site and just Rexon holding on to this back push in case that white stairs pressure comes on later into the round.
Yeah, he's got a lot of mobility here, but he's feeling a bit of pressure. Oh, what a shot! Blackray goes down, and that's the backstab from CAG shut down. Now, Aniton has managed to clear out this trophy position, but he is alone at the moment. And he's not really able to do a lot from this position. Fortunately, Aegate has actually taken control of Attic, and with that, he can move into pit, start putting some pressure now on the positions inside of games, inside of kids' dorms, as he starts marching his way forward, trying to duel this angle inside of kids. But what is CYCLOPS going to go for?
Oh, but look at this from Geo, playing aggressive on that main reinforcement. Do they know that he's there? I think they do. Aniton's just rounded the corner, but the shotgun in hand could be lethal.
He's trying his best. Smokes go out, and there's Suzu. Takes down Geo. Oh, but a C4 from Grixa down below. All it finds, though, is the Monty, not the player behind it. Ayagata has a great position. Suzu's picked that diffuser up and starting to move, making his call. Grix has found one, though, once again. Onto Gatorada, and it's just going from bad to worse for CAG. Gassed out and, well, hopeless. Ayagata will be forced back, and just like that, Soniqs have found the match point here on Oregon.
Once again, just so much discipline from the Soniqs. It really doesn't feel like they're doing anything that special, Dev, really. They're just sitting there on the site, playing conservatively, and letting CYCLOPS take their damn time. Really, they are. CYCLOPS, they had their space that was actually given away to them in Trophy. Aniton made his way up the armory stairs completely uncontested. There was actually no one playing on that Trophy shield, even though it was there. Same thing with Attic control. That was the one point where the Soniqs didn't extend over into. It just took Aegata quite a lot of time to get into that position and start making use of the push. It just feels like Soniqs playing a disciplined game, respecting CAG, not going for those wide swings and peaks, and just waiting for them to waste their time on the attack.
And I have some very exciting news. At the flip of a coin, this game has become nuts, right? Soniqs have match point. If they defeat CYCLOPS in regulation, then the winner of the Eminem Black Dragons game right now, if it's won in regulation, will go to playoffs. Currently, the score is 6-2 to Black Dragons.
No way.
If Black Dragons can close that game out in regulation, and Soniqs do the same here, then CYCLOPS' hopes of making it to their first ever main stage event, their first ever major playoffs, will be dead.
Oh, and that's exactly the same for Eminem as well, right? If they don't close out, if they don't
Well,
manage
at this
to make
point,
their comeback,
Eminem, I don't think Eminem can make it.
Eminem not in the running for it anymore.
Because
oh,
Eminem had to win in regulation.
Of course.
If Eminem comes back and pushes overtime against Black Dragons, CYCLOPS make the major, regardless of the result of this game.
This is why you're the numbers man. I don't know what
I've got production talking in my ear. They're just giving me all the possibilities. I can't take any
They're
credit.
telling you all the outcomes, all the permutations, all the possible timelines in the universe. But anyway, CAG have to mount an attack onto Soniqs here. If they want to keep themselves in the game, it's looking pretty dire at the moment. Soniqs have been very dominant.
I've seen 10 billion possible scenarios. In how many of them do we win for Cyclops? It is just one. If they can come back here against Soniqs, it doesn't matter if they can't close out the game. Just 6 rounds would be enough to confirm the playoffs. Otherwise, they will hope that M&M can do the same against BD.
So CAG have brought along the Ossa. That would indicate to me they're going for a very minimalist take onto this meeting side big tower, but they are about to be met by a power position of the back stairs. That's Geometrics with his own little deployable shield to face the deployable shield of Blackray.
A bit of a cat and mouse game, isn't it? Blackray take down that Banshee. Geo's actually fallen off, so this is pretty big here if Cyclops can take that map control. But Soniqs, though, do get away with all 5 players up. It looks like Blackray has confirmed now that map control. How will Cyclops play this? If there's anywhere to start this comeback, Mandy, it's going to be right here, isn't it?
Yeah, it absolutely is. This is a pretty good attack from them so far. They've got all the tools that they need to do it. The Ossa, the baby EMPs to deny the wall. And not only that, but they have the Glaz as well, which is going to set up this big, long line of sight to cover for when that plant goes down.
And how fast will that happen? Because Blackray's actually gotten really advanced here. He's in meeting, feeling a bit of pressure. Oh, gassed out. That stack damage from Soniqs is so powerful. No impacts left for Gunner, and the Glaz comes in and makes its presence felt. It's going all for Cyclops. This might be where they can keep their dream alive. The smokes to go through. Soniqs feeling that pressure as Rexon is prone. He's down. He's taken out. Anaton's found a double with the Glaz. Gunner once again under pressure, takes a bit of damage to the Rotero. Alligator taken out. And now Grixer must step up a quick peek. Can't quite jewel the angle out as Blackray has confirmed that diffuser.
Anderson's just doing such a great job on this Glaz. Not only has he covered the plant, but he's even got the double entry off. Gunner, though, he's looking for that retake now at the sandbags. Is able to take down Blackray in the site, but he's got so much more work to do.
This is winnable. The Rotero drone, a little bit more damage. Oh, here comes Anaton! How do you beat this? He's just so goated on the Glaz, and of course there's an Ossa shield on the stairs as well. Gunner down to 1 HP, and Soniqs won't be closing this game just yet. The Japanese want to see their team at the playoffs, and they won't go down without a fight.
Yeah, great push from Cyclops there. They took that big tower to perfection. They put down the Ossa shield and aided by the smoke canisters. What that meant was that those impacts that came up from the side of the defense didn't connect onto the Ossa shield. They were able to get the plant down safely behind the safety of that smoke canister. The Glaz was perfect to cover. And usually what does fall apart in that attack strat is when you have anchors with impacts, right? When you have anchors with C4s, they can actually visibly see the plant going down and deny it with those explosives. If you have the Glaz and smoke combination, perfect, right? That's an amazing counter to it, and it works out amazingly for Anaton.
I have confirmation from production. Black Dragons have taken down M&M in regulation. M&M is completely out of contention, and Cyclops will be too unless they can come back into overtime. 3 rounds is all they need to confirm their first ever playoffs, and if they can't do it, they will be going home tomorrow.
Look, all I'm finna say, we APAC here, okay? APAC Miracle Run, come on Cyclops, it all begins from here if you want to make it into the playoffs. Grixer here starting out in the big tower. It's going to be an extended little roam from Soniqs. Not too ambitious though. Most of their reinforcements and utility has been dedicated to that late round. We've got the Goyo canisters for late round denial, as well as the smoke and the warden for when that smoke execute comes through.
Well, Cyclops, end of the road. There's no 2 ways about it. You've got to show us what you got now. You've lost too many points on overtime games. You cannot afford to lose any more here. Anaton on this Monty. We've seen how much he can do with it. We've seen what he can do on the Glaz as well. And the Ying, of course, which has been banned by the Soniqs. is going to have to deliver here when push comes to shove.
Yeah, CYCLOPS have been given a lot of the map control here from Soniqs. They are playing pretty conservative on the site now. That roam didn't last all too long for Grixer, who was in that big tower, and now they have full map control. They can start to work through that mid-round. Suzu will have those X-Karas in hand, and there is no Kaid being brought on the side of the Soniqs, so they can get those hatches open nice and easy.
Well, CYCLOPS. Good progress for them. Like you said, those hatches opened with ease. This meeting one about to be opened as well. I think you might need to put a couple extra pellets on that one, which won't be a problem. Here comes Anaton marching forward in Freezer as well.
Okay, so that Florozone is trying to create a walk-in hole for Anaton at the moment. Unfortunately, it just missed the jump in. The Soniqs are about to be pressured out of their positions, right? CAG have not telegraphed the push that they're going to go for just yet because they have the Monty in this front take, but they're still opening the back, and Suzu's got the kit that can really go anywhere. They're quite mobile in this attack at the moment. They don't need to commit to something just yet. Just take their time to probe out Soniqs, see if they make a mistake.
Anaton's done such a good job here dancing around the fire, and here comes CYCLOPS bringing fire of their own, but no, they go down. They drop like flies. And now it's all on Blackray and Anaton. Oh, but they both find kills. Now it's a 1v2 for the Sick Geo. We thought he might sub out for this game, but he could well win it right here. Taken low and finished off. CYCLOPS, a win down in the basement. Mandy, this is doable. 2 more rounds for CAG is all that stands between them and playoffs.
It is not over yet, Dev. CYCLOPS on the attack. Now they're starting to bring the heat. This is some CYCLOPS that we love, right? They're starting to respect the Soniqs and the way that they're playing. They're playing it a little bit more slow. Imagine that. Using Anaton on that Monty, of course, the most iconic of picks in like the whole wide world. That is crazy, to make their way throughout the map. And I just think that was such a great attack onto the basement, dividing the attention of those anchors, right? You had Anaton being a pest inside of Freezer, and that really enabled the back take to come through from the rest of the CAG players. Suzu made a great drop down in the E-box, followed up by one of his teammates, and CAG win it out on the trades. Just fantastic work from CAG.
Well, we're going to go back down to the basement for Soniqs, which means CYCLOPS cannot afford to make any mistakes. Such a strong bomb site to defend, but CYCLOPS have shown they can break through. Is CYCLOPS starting to read into this a little bit? They didn't do this roam quite so much last round, did they?
I was just about to say that. 100% change in philosophy, literally 180. Last round, they were playing Goyo, they were playing Smoke, they were playing for that late round denial. This time, they are playing the most extended roam we could possibly see on Oregon. They've got the Oryx starting out early in Small Tower, as well as all these rotations throughout the meeting, security, and attic side of the map to enable these roamers to be super mobile.
This is a dangerous game to play against CYCLOPS. This is where they thrive. This is what they love, the roam game, the clears. They've got the Monty and the Dockerby to enable it. And Gunner's feeling a bit of pressure. Spray goes through the wall, he dodges those bullets and goes straight up through the kid's hatch.
CAG have a lot to go through if they want to clear this map. They still have this entire top floor segmented out by the defense, and they can pretty safely rotate back, right? There are avenues for them to fall back through attic, through the armory stairs. It's going to be so difficult to clear out this map.
That doesn't stop Anaton from marching on forward. Doesn't stop Soniqs from falling back. They're feeling that pressure. They hear that logic bomb detonate. Rexon feeling that pressure. About to be spotted out by the Monty. Just look at the mechanics of these players, the quick peeks. But CYCLOPS are getting a lot of information.
Okay, so this could be exciting. We've got the Oryx just around the corner of the Monty. So if they can combine powers here on the defense, they could definitely take him down. I don't think they know that Gunner's here. Okay, now
Gunner!
Gunner, he's just getting out. Oh, no, don't turn away like that and run away. He's just going to wait. Life tries to take another fight onto the player inside of Trophy, but it's A-gated to take him down, now forcing Rexon to fall off back through attic.
Yeah, and Grixer as well is going to follow him. All of Soniqs fall back. They've done some decent damage, taken down Blackray and all the util with it. But hang on a second, is there a cheeky little player in tier 3?
That's Kansan.
Kansan could break this round, break the backs of CYCLOPS, or he could break down this Soniqs defense if he is not on site to support CAG forming up around Freezer.
Oh yeah, hold on a minute. This could get a little bit dangerous for Soniqs. They're going for this front-sided take now. Kansan is very far. He's inside of tier 3, so if he wants to go for that flank, he's going to have to time it really well if he wants to be impactful in the rounds. Smoke canisters still galore for Geo. He's got one more in the, actually no more in the pocket. That burn has gone out really early, and there's still 40 seconds left to go. The team flash though onto the Monty. This is a scrappy round, Dev.
Here comes Kansan though. He's going to be able to take down the player bottom main. Aegator goes down and suddenly CYCLOPS have to decide, do they push the site or do they push the roamer? Anatson goes down. And this might be the end of the line for CYCLOPS. A 2 versus 4 as Suzu C and Gatorada do their best to salvage this game, but it's done! The matter has been closed! The Soniqs take down the Japanese of CAG and end their playoff stream. Black Dragons will take their place in the playoffs, and Soniqs will continue their form onto the main stage in Jönköping.
Kansan in the big tower, of course, the final player to put the thorn in the side of CAG. 7-4 scoreline from the Soniqs, and honestly, absolutely deserving scoreline. The Soniqs felt like they were really in the ball on this particular matchup in this series. They were making the right calls both on the attack and the defense, playing on the same page, and it just felt like they were always a step ahead of CAG.
Fist pumps between these two teams. What a game. Well played by the Soniqs and a well-deserved end to their groups. Going into the playoffs, they have fantastic form, the best North American team that we've seen at this event. Unfortunately for CYCLOPS, they were unable to cut it, and they will be going home tomorrow. So far, no APAC teams have made it to the playoffs. If you've joined us from the A stream, welcome. You've just missed a banging match, so maybe you'll have to go back and watch it later, but we'll break it down for you in just a few minutes, so stick around.
I'm Nicholas Morton, but you know me as Pingu. I'm a 2-time Rainbow Six Siege World Champion and former top Rainbow Six Siege player in Pro League. Welcome to my Siege Ranked Bootcamp. We're talking 20 seconds left on the clock, you got the diffuser in hand, what do? Play the way that you're comfortable with, because you have confidence when you're in this position, that is when you're gonna be at your very best. Good luck.
Another huge dub for Soniqs. They're getting used to those now. As for CYCLOPS, if you're an APAC fan, rip the homies.
Rip the homies. APAC is dead, I think.
No,
entirely.
Direwolves.
Oh, Direwolves. Of course they could qualify. But,
The APAC dream right now relies on Direwolves 7-0ing the actual Wolves and FaZe losing 0-7 to Mirage. And then FaZe and Direwolves would play a rematch game, and then the winner would go to playoffs. That is the only way that APAC will get a team into the playoffs.
It's cursed. That's all I'm saying. It's cursed. There is no way. Look, there are a couple timelines in this universe, all right? You've probably seen, honestly, Sabruni's probably seen into them. I certainly haven't, and that is a very tough timeline for one of the APAC teams to make it through. But let's talk about this game, because this game was pretty nuts from the Soniqs. They look super composed. And even though Gio was sick, some of the calls that he was making, especially on that attacking half, were fantastic. The attacks that they were able to do, they were minimalist. They didn't have all their options open all the time because a lot of the walls were staying closed on their attack, but they were able to bring out some really cool stuff with the Amaru. It was just really fun to watch.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely loved seeing Soniqs, and this completes a 5-match winning streak for them. After dropping their opening game to M&M, they haven't lost a point since, which has been fantastic to see their growth as a team from stage to stage, despite some significant roster changes, bringing on, I'm not going to say rookies, like obviously Gio is a notorious player in his own right. He's a bit of an OG now, huge experience. Gunnar, not a rookie, but he's never played at a LAN before, never played at a major before. So it's quite a different scenario. Let's break it down though. Let's have a look at how this game went, because there were some big hitters here. Kansan and Rexon have been so good for the Soniqs. Look at that, double digits for Gunnar as well, actually. So nice to see him really finding his place here on the international stage.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Grixer was a big show up in this game. Him and Rexon together did amazing here. We often say the Grixer, Kansan, Rexon death trio. I feel like of this squad is so terrifying. But I just feel like in that game, everyone really showed up to the role that they needed to play on the Soniqs. I'm really impressed by this roster. They've definitely gained a fan in me. I don't think I've watched a lot of them until I was preparing for this major, to be honest. And the way that they've been playing together is very, it's kind of on the cusp of being an NA team while having some of that LATAM problem-solving skills. And I really like the way that they've been able to use their front line, their new power of Gunnar. It's essentially this just 4-man front line that is super powerful, but also really flexible. And I really like the way that they've been playing.
I'm really excited for Soniqs, honestly. It's been a big year. They really kicked off this year amazingly. I think Soniqs, of all the teams, was one of the biggest upset teams at the Six Invitational. They went phenomenally. They knocked out a huge number of really big teams. Let's have a look at how their group has gone so far, though. They are right at the tippy top. They've got almost every single point possible. In fact, tied first place in the combined standings of the whole league. Soniqs on 15 points, just like W7M and Liquid in their own groups. But, of course, after losing that, well, technically they didn't lose, but their opening game to M&M, they did lose outright. Sorry, I made that mistake. After losing that game, they've been flawless. They haven't even dropped a single point. Didn't even go to overtime. And yeah, a huge round differential of +12 as well.
Yeah, wow. This is a really great one from the Soniqs. I'm just super impressed by how dominant they have been on the top of this group. We did say right at the beginning of day one that this group was going to be one of the tighter groups. It did end up being a pretty tight group in the end, but the Soniqs did well and truly show that they didn't need to fight in that midfield battle. They do deserve that top spot in that first place group, in the first place seed of the group. They've just done such an amazing job, especially when you throw in the chaos of M&M, CAG, and Black Dragons. That must been such a tough group to prepare for. I can only feel for Goddess, the coach, just watching these 3 teams going like, oh my gosh, what a play style. Like, there's such a stark play style difference to what they usually see in NA.
And while we've been harping on about Soniqs, there's one team that we haven't talked about yet because we didn't watch them play, but they played on the other stream, and those guys, they haven't really received the full credit here on a desk segment. Black Dragons. Unfortunately, we didn't ever get to cast a Black Dragons match this major, but since their game ended before ours, I guess that post-match desk, they wouldn't have really been able to talk about the fact that Black Dragons have been confirmed now for the playoffs. I did a real quick bathroom sprint between the match and this segment, and I saw tears, emotions. All of the Black Dragons players were having hugs with all the FaZe, W7M guys, all of the Brazilian players there to support each other, to lift each other up, as 4 of these Black Dragons guys are having their first ever international event here, and they've already made to the playoffs. Insane.
So I saw on Twitter a little bit earlier, so Cherry Gums, who's the owner of Black Dragons, she tweeted out to Goddess, please win this match for us. We need it to go to the playoffs. And Goddess actually replied saying, yeah, good luck in your match too. The dynamic of these teams is so adorable. I love seeing them here in person. It's amazing.
At the very first ever Pro League event where Brazil was introduced, Black Dragons made it to the grand final. That roster ended up becoming Team Liquid in the future, but a new Black Dragons has now taken its form. They will go to the playoffs. We'll toss to a break, and after that, we'll see you for the final matches of the Major.